get into the video, I just wanted to say two things. Last week, we're doing voting. I figured out how to make a poll. If you haven't voted on the poll yet, because there's a lot of comments that I'm pretty sure nobody went back and looked for the poll, because it's kind of weird to find on YouTube. Go to my main page, go to community, and then you can click on the picture of each car. I only narrowed it down to 4 because those were the 4 that were talked about the most in the comments. And the second thing, I wanted to say thanks to all the new subscribers. We hit 2,500 like last Friday. We're above 2,500 now, and it's awesome. So hopefully pick up more people, and more people watch me ramble and work on junk in my garage. So let's jump back into the actual. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Crawford. This is Virginia's for Lowriders. And like we say over and over and over on every video, we're at 45 videos now. I think this will be the 46th. We're trying to get the Mazda project on the road, and we are just chipping away at it. There's a lot of little tiny details to do that I attempted to do before mini nats, and I just didn't really get any of those done. We got a lot of stuff done though. The last time we worked on it, we got the sunroof in, the windows in, the front windshield in, the rear window in, the side panels made, the cab is painted. It resembles a truck, but we need to disassemble it and make it not resemble a truck again. We need to get it up on jack stands and off of the rollers. And we got the truck turned around so I can concentrate on trying to get this thing running and the electronics working. And we got wiring to finish up. We got brakes to finish up. We need to make a clutch line. There's a lot of little details that need to be done, and that's what we're focusing on. It would be really cool if we could get maybe the carpet set in it, potentially see it, what it looks like with the seat in there. We're trying to get it done. That's the plan. We're going to attempt to finish the wiring in the cab. I need to finally make a little panel for some breakers and some other things. I want to run some, it's like I don't know, maybe like 9-wire or something like that, just so that there is a set of wires going to the rear to where I don't have to pull the carpet back out when it comes time to put the stereo in and put everything else in. Maybe if I could find some RCAs, I'll throw them in there. It would be really nice to put the carpet in and never take the carpet back out. And once the carpet's in, we can put the radio in, we can put that. There's a lot of other steps that can go along with that. We need to finish up wiring on the engine, plumbing, vacuum lines, all kinds of little stuff. So if you've never been here before, go check out all those videos, do all the normal YouTube things, the likes and the subscribings and everything. I appreciate you stopping by. We're just going to jump into it so that I don't ramble for 30 minutes. I don't know what I was saying before and what we were going to get into, but that didn't happen. It's like 6 something. It's almost 7 o'clock. Normal. James came over. His dad came over. We got food. We did stuff. And you can tell by the seating arrangement around here, that consisted of like 4 hours worth of just talking and working on his dad's truck. Because every time it comes here, we end up working on it and doing something to it. Or, you know, the normal, just, I don't know. We got to get something done. I don't know how I do this every time. It's really easy to avoid getting work done. But we're going to get something done. That's the plan. Because we haven't gotten anything done in weeks now, which is crazy because of things going on. But we're going to make something. We got to make something. It has to happen. I think I was saying this morning, I don't even remember now. We're going to attempt to make some wiring connections of some sort in here. The power wires, if you all have followed along, they come through the bulkhead fittings coming out of the back of the cab. They come here. They're already assembled in this area. We have the wiring for the air compressors in here. The wiring for the fans will be in here. We need to make a panel of some sort in this general area against the firewall to where we can hook up some circuit breaker things, which I will show you all those right now. I got a bunch of these guys in different amperages. 300, 200, 50 amp, 100 amp. I got a bunch of them. We're going to make a panel of some sort that just holds different sizes of those. I figure if I go ahead and I make the panel now and I just put a bunch of random sizes in there, I can always add to those or subtract from those for the air compressors, for the fan, for the whatever I need to, for the stereo system. The power will be there, and for future growth, I'll add extra ones. So if we make the power panel, we tie the power to the panel, we can jump off of that and do whatever we want to later. I'm just going to stop talking because it's really late and we got to get to work. We're just going to make something. I got to find some sheet metal and some drill bits. So it took me forever to find a piece of kind of thick of aluminum. I really didn't want to use steel. Just, I don't know why. I had it in my mind I wanted to make it out of aluminum. So that's what we made it out of, or we're going to make it out of. So this is kind of my plan. Something in this realm. So basically, power into this. I had a multi-pack of these and I gave the red one to a friend of mine. So don't get confused and think that's the ground, because it's going to be power. I'm going to do probably the power lug here, jump off of that into this guy, and then piggyback off of these guys and have power looped throughout each one. It's either that or there's enough stud on here I can do individual runs, which probably is safer. But my idea, come in here, hopefully you can actually see all of this. It's kind of hard to see, I apologize. There's a bolt coming through the firewall there that I have something else bolted in, and there's a stud up here. My idea was just to lay this in here, drill some holes, and bolt this panel to the actual backside of the firewall. I need to trim around here some more for the grommet and the wires that are going to pass through that section, and drill a whole bunch of holes. That's the plan. Maybe. I don't know if it's going to work. Something I learned a long time ago after buying a lot of burr bits. At Carlisle you can buy burr bits extremely cheap. Now that Amazon's around, you can get them pretty cheap too. After porting a lot of random things that are made out of aluminum, I learned this a long time ago. I don't know where I picked it up to give credit to, but it was a really long time ago, probably on some form that doesn't exist anymore. If you're ever cutting or grinding aluminum, say with an aluminum burr bit, or in this scenario, my bandsaw, go to the dollar store, get the cheapest, overwhelmingly strong scented for whatever reason. I don't understand why the cheaper the soap gets, the stronger it gets. Get the cheapest soap you can. Need to open this up. So, man, that stuff is so strong. So anytime you're messing with the aluminum, just do this a couple times. By caking the teeth with the waxy, nasty soap, it allows you to cut aluminum quicker and not gum up the blade at the same time. If you're at any point when you're cutting, you feel like the blade's just kind of slowly doing its thing and not really cutting, just hit it with some soap again. Very simple. Or if you already have a blade or a burr bit and it's gummed up pretty bad, you can take a small piece of wood or plastic and cut that for just a second and it'll clean it out. So I'm gonna cut this elbow off. I save a lot of random stuff. When I say I'm a parts and car part hoarder and whatever, I'm also a material hoarder. I welded the fuel cell in my buddy James's dad's Ranchero. Probably, so when I first bought a TIG welder, he ended up buying one over 10 years ago, probably even longer than that ago. He cut the baffle out of it and put, I want to say put foam in it or whatever he did. The baffle fell out of it, so I cut a hole, retrieved the baffle, welded the tank back up. That's what this is from. I've had this random piece of aluminum for 10 years. It's crazy. So, trim that up real quick and see if we can make something before it's midnight. So this is messy, but same concept. It works with sandpaper also. So if you've ever ground aluminum with the incorrect belt on a belt sander, you'll understand what I'm talking about. Usually, by the time you get back to it and you're done grinding, this would be completely shiny and packed full of aluminum. You can see the aluminum, but it's actually sitting on top of the soap. And these would be completely full. Kind of hard to tell. I don't know if this thing's actually going to pick it up, but you can still count all the teeth. Normally, when you cut aluminum, this would be completely packed and smooth. So for a review, never done a review before, but we'll go ahead and do one real quick. The Zest brand, rather than the Irish Springs, is a much better garage scent. Irish Springs is so overwhelming it makes your head hurt. Zest brand, not bad. It was a good purchase. I don't think I'd ever wash my body with it, but not too bad for garage scent. On a scale of 1 to my head hurts, I'd give it a solid, we'll give it like a 7.5. I'm gonna go with one randomly placed hole. Putting that on there. Coming up here, doing a little scratch because I don't feel like measuring this. Look at the back. Our scratch is right there. So we need to drill a hole right on our scratch mark. A little good guesstimation here. Test our scratch measurement here. Perfect. It's nice and level because we got our level and our tape measure out for that because we're professionals. So now I gotta access that hole there. I need to trim something like that. Oh, we have a good guesstimation. Doing a guess here. I'm gonna go over just a little bit. Maybe something like this. It'll look like we meant to, like we made this piece specifically for this, and it didn't live inside of a gas tank for 10 years. I don't think I'm going to need these little rubber boot things. So, to figure out which way to arrange this to where everything can be wired in the future and give us a little bit of room for growth and make sure it still looks sort of cool on camera. Maybe something like that. That way wire all the way across, and then these can be hooked to whatever they want to be hooked to. We're just gonna wing it like normal. Fun fact, yesterday I mowed the grass. I tried to come home, yesterday would have been Friday. I tried to come home from work and be productive. Hopped on the zero turn, mowed the grass, picked up around the yard a little bit. Was feeling good. I was like, I'm gonna get this done. I'm gonna go in the garage. I'm gonna get something done in there. And then I put the zero turn away. I carry this big ball of keys. There's a zero turn key here. Attached to that is the garage key, the house key, the sea container key that the zero turn is in. Put the zero turn away. Shut up the sea container. I left the key in the sea container and I locked the door. So luckily I had already been in the house when I got home and the house was still unlocked. And I found my massive thing of keys from scrap vehicles and everything else. Luckily, it had the key on it to the garage, because that's where I kept the spare key to the sea container. I go in here and try and find the key to the sea container and have absolutely no luck, because I've been trying to clean the garage for the last 2 weeks. So my night yesterday ended with me cutting the lock off the sea container and then just going inside afterwards, because I didn't feel like messing with anything after that, because I felt kind of stupid and wasted. I don't know how much locks are now, but it's something similar to that master lock there. They aren't free, and I've had the things forever, and it matches a bunch of other locks that I have. So that's why I didn't get anything done yesterday. It's kind of weird all of these came from the same place, but that one has different size holes in it. So I thought originally when I was going to make this morning, I was thinking it would be cleaner and nicer looking and easier to work on if there was maybe like nut certs in here or something. That way these can just be bolted off and on. Then I got thinking about it right before I drilled the holes, because I was going to size them to a nut cert size, and it really doesn't make any sense, because it's the entire panel is held on with 2 bolts and 1 wire. So I can disconnect it and do whatever I need to do, or just reach a wrencher in there and take them out. I don't think it's a big deal. It still might look cleaner that way, but I don't think it would have been, it made all of the difference in the quality of how this turned out. So if you've been here before, you'll have seen this a few times. This time, we're not using welding cable. We're using a random old, I think this came off of one of those old school battery chargers that you use in a garage that make scary electrical sounds and make parts of your body tingle because there's so much juice running through them. But again, this is a real simple process. We're simply taking something that otherwise would have been trash. Like I said, normally I would do this with welding cable, but we do not need something that large in this case. Take your favorite crappy screwdriver. too bad for some scrap junk and a couple dollars worth of random electrical stuff off Amazon. Do another test fit with everything mounted. Not too bad. Nothing's gonna touch or rub. I had to make a little jumper guy from there. So a couple of the things that I'd like to do, I'll probably end up doing away with these normal relays. Maybe do a starter relay for the air compressors. Not totally sure on that. That can happen at any point. Maybe after those give up. But these do need a power. And I need to look up on the internet, because I don't remember and I don't know where the fuses went, what size fuse was supposed to be in this, because I can't find the ones that came with it, to see what size fuse each compressor needs. Not totally sure if I'm gonna tie them both together on the new panel thing we just made, or leave them separate. Most likely tied together. I'm okay-ish with that, because that way, if I do that, and I do individual eyelets, and that breaker pops for whatever reason, I can always just pull one of the compressors off, or one of the eyelets off, and still have power to everything, which basically would be this. I just be removing those fuses in line instead. A couple things that I did whenever I put the factory little tiny fuse block that's supposed to be under the hood behind the inner fender, one of the things that I added was a single power wire going to that fuse block. So that needs its own designated breaker. These need their own designated breaker. And the electric fans need their own breaker. So I'll have an open one for maybe the stereo. Stereo really doesn't matter though, because the main power feed is over there, and I can always just add another fuse panel. Yet we'll figure it out as we go, but that's pretty good progress. It's already 11 o'clock. It flew by. Spending time looking for things is like 3/4 of my day. It's pretty bad. Well, it is now Sunday, and it's kind of late because I did a normal Sunday errand ritual thing. Got the truck up off the ground last night to where I can actually lay underneath of it, and it's been raining all day long, so I don't think I'm going to get to the carpet today, because I was hoping I could lay the carpet out in the sun and some of the creases would come out of it, because the way, I don't know what the square footage of this is, but all of the carpet is rolled up into a pretty small box, so they're pretty creased up when they're new. I was hoping to let it sit in the sun and unfold and be a little bit easier to work with. So it's probably going to be something I'll tackle this week. But today, I think, because I need to really start doing these gaps and panels and stuff. I was messing with this last night off camera. I need to pull this fender in a little bit. This gap looks pretty good. I need to figure out how to close this gap up. The problem I'm going to have with all of this, I'm going to have to get it close and see if I need to adjust anything before I blow it all apart. And what I mean by get it close is it's not going to be 100%, because this stuff, like, it's so flimsy. So one of the things I really need to do is make the braces for the front half and start making the inner fenders for this portion. I think the plan is, because the tire never comes anywhere close to here, I want to make a filler panel on this side. I'd like to stick to my original plan of doing plastic inner fenders at the top and then picking back up on the metal portion, maybe in the front, but at least here I want to do a small panel, probably up to about here, and then make it to where I can attach the plastic to that. And that will give me some ridginess here. I don't have a bolt in the bottom because the bolt hole's messed up, so I need to fix that. There's a lot of little stuff. So we're gonna, I don't know. I don't even know if we're gonna do that, but we're gonna start by doing that, and then we'll just see where it takes us. You know, that whole A.D.D thing, which is pretty bad. If you saw last week's video, we were doing the voting, showing all the projects, and I was explaining that I was cleaning the garage, and I didn't have that much left, and then the entire week went by, and I never actually finished like 100%. What I had left to clean up ended up in some totes, and I'll maybe mess with it later. Probably not, though. I probably just, if I need something, dump out the totes and look for it for 45 minutes or so every single time. It's terrible. But my cart's looking good. I got all this. Well, oh no, I take that back. It's not looking good. We made progress, though. We're getting somewhere, and procrastinating, and we just need to get to work. After the truck went outside for its first time in what feels like 100 years, apparently the caliper that I thought was painted, and it was just the wrong silver, is actually raw. So I'm gonna have to paint that caliper because it's starting to rust. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I painted the other side, and I really thought that this one was painted, but apparently not. Pretty simple template there. I think that's all the higher that I want to go. Like I said, I think I want to flange this. That way, when I add I don't know if I want to do riv nuts or speed nuts. Speed nuts probably makes more sense that way. It being in an inner fender, if they ever go bad, I can just replace them from rust or whatever might happen to them. But I can flange this, speed nut, riv nut, whatever, and then continue this up with plastic. I really like to do plastic just because stuff happens on the road, things get damaged. Trying to think ahead. I want this to be down here because from the factory, it utilizes way more things to hold this all in place. I'm missing most of that. One, because of the body drop. Like, there's supposed to be sheet metal here, that all of that was just cut off. I could add that in, which I might still add that in, but the inner fenders were all, everything was made into each other, and it was very rigid. Now, like I said, this stuff is so flimsy and easy to move around. I need to add something back to it to stiffen it up some and make it look a little nicer. But I think plastic, I don't know. Basically, I need to make it out of plastic so I can get it out of my head, so I can say I tried it, whether it works out or not. So we're going to transfer this over to a piece of sheet metal and start beating the crap out of it, I guess, and maybe we'll bead roll it or something, make it a little bit fancy. So my buddy Sean did his inner fenders, I don't know, a couple months ago, and then I've seen Magic Man's been busting them out for people left and right, and then Brandon made some of his own at lower class, so I figure it's probably my turn. I need to make some of my own. We're not gonna go to the extent of trying to make it part of the truck necessarily like they did, since I have a different idea on how I want to accomplish this. But we at least have to do something else as far as the bead rolls. That way ours doesn't look like we copied everybody else's. Found this random piece of sheet metal in the garage that's been bead rolled before for something else. But I think it'll work fine for this project. Check the other side. I can actually mirror them. I just got to make sure I put my bead rolls on the same side. Pulled the fender off real quick just to excuse the firing in the background. Apparently there's something to celebrate today. Pull the fender off. I think what I'm going to do is I might just trim that guy off completely. Clean that up some. I think what I want to do is flange this entire perimeter to bring the panel flush with it, but still have it being bolted on the same way. Every time I turn the camera on, somebody starts shooting out there. Ooh, almost got my toes. Something like that. This has a little bit of a curve in it too. So we'll tip this edge. I'm going to cut this off because that's not actually part of it, and tip this edge also. Thinking something really simple here. Just doing those simple bead rolls actually put a curve in the panel, so it might be enough to actually match the fender itself. I did like 10 practice runs with the bead roller attempting to get the flange that I wanted, which is this like crisp step in the panel. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I couldn't get one that I was happy with. So I have this actual flanging tool. This is what I use for, basically, I really never use this side. I use the hole punch. The hole punch is for spot welds and sheet metal. It's just a pneumatic version of a hole punch. It'll punch holes in sheet metal extremely easy. But on the opposite end, for the type of sheet metal work that I don't like doing, you would use this flange if you wanted to overlap two pieces of sheet metal and weld them together. I really don't use that flange. I actually just had to go through and run a file through it because there was actually rust in there causing this to look kind of messed up. I was able to achieve a nice crisp edge here. It takes a little while. It takes a little bit of patience to get the exact notch that you want and the shape that you want without creating this terrible jagged edge. But it seems like even if it does create kind of a messed up edge, I can clean it up with the grinder afterwards, or the cookie there on the ground. So it's real simple. You can see inside of there it has the notch end in there. And you just squeeze the trigger. They sell these at like Harbor Freight. This is a Cornwall one, but you can get them anywhere. So all I'm going to do, I'm looking at my line down this sheet metal, trying to line it up with this, and creating that step all the way down this little panel. I don't know if you can see that. That's really clear, but that's what we're trying to achieve all the way down without making it look like complete crap, which is pretty easy to do with this. So just a few seconds with the grinder, or with the cookie. You see it's a pretty crisp edge. I'm happy with that. I think it'll look nice because this portion is going to be behind the fender. I wanted this portion here to be proud of the fender, basically flush with it once it's all done. So the panel looks pretty decent. You got the tipped edge, or flanged edge, or whatever you want to call this. So it really doesn't even matter what that edge looks like because it's completely hidden. Now the panel is going to sit flush with the fender. And then up here, like I was saying, I'll either put speed nuts or riv nuts, whichever. With my little check marks here, I think they could use a little bit more finishing rather than being just kind of tapering off into nothing. Something I have a full set, which I don't know how I found 2 different sets in my stuff here, and I can't find the 3rd set that's already modified. I'll show you a way to finish these off to where they look more finished, I guess. Just need to remove half of it. I want to say I got this from Lazzy, or however you pronounce that man's name. He does insane sheet metal work on YouTube. Here on this one, got a nice little rounded edge, and then just repeat that process throughout the whole panel. Much more finished, I guess. I don't know. Don't look too bad. Need to pop a few holes in it, throw some primer on it. I probably won't be able to paint it today because it's so muggy, but we'll at least get it primed so it doesn't rust again. I'll go ahead and knock out the other one real quick and move on to the next thing. I got the second panel done. They look pretty good. I'm kind of happy-ish with them. I don't think I'm going to paint them today. I don't think I'm going to prime them today because I need to modify them a little bit. Because I'm going to end up having to drill holes on the other side to make mounts. And I'm going to have to weld tabs on my inner fenders, which isn't a big deal because we use that bed liner stuff. So it's just a matter of grinding it off, welding some tabs on, and respraying it. So I think this is another day. I don't really feel like getting into painting. And the A.D.D is, yeah, it's doing its thing. So I need a change of pace. We're going to bounce around to something else. Well, it's been like 2 hours since I said I was going to bounce around and work on something else. And I did work on something. It didn't work exactly the way I wanted it to. It does work, except for the cable is about maybe a 1/4 inch too shy. I had this cable thing that I got off of a F350 in my backyard, and I modified. Well, this is one of the problems, is that thing is so old and brittle, it keeps breaking. So that made it even harder. I mounted it, I got everything to work, it releases the hood, but the hood doesn't latch properly with it on there because it's not releasing that last little bit. So, I think that's it for this weekend. It's already 7 o'clock or something, and I actually sat here and edited the video, and there's like 40 some odd minutes. We didn't get anywhere close to where I thought we were going to get this weekend, but we did get progress done, so that's all that really matters. So, again, I'm going to say every time, if you've never been here before, go check out all of the old videos. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you next Sunday.